Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to day 4 of Sustainable Living Week. Very excited to have this first ever annual week of learning all about circular economy and how we can make our choices more sustainable. And today we have another wonderful guest speaker. But first, I'm going to ask you questions. How much do you know about sustainable living? Now, don't worry if you weren't here yesterday or in previous lessons this week. You can always catch up with the recordings on our website. Just have a guess, see what you think, see if you're right. I think you probably know more about sustainable living than you think. So our first question is, how many times is the average piece of clothing worn before it is thrown away? Now, if you think it's about 7 to 10 times, put 2 hands up. If you think it's somewhere between maybe a dozen, 15 times, put 1 hand up. And if you think it's somewhere between 17 to 20 times, put a hand on your head. Let's see what you think. Just have a guess. Our first guess in is about 12 to 15 times. Anyone else like to venture a guess? This jumper that I'm wearing has definitely been worn more than 7 to 10 times, so perhaps I'm doing better than average. Who knows? 12 to 15 times. Most people are saying somewhere around there. Let's see if you're right. Shockingly, it's only 7 to 10 times, which is pretty poor. I can't imagine buying something and only wearing it that few number of times. I quite like my clothes, so I tend to wear the same things all the time and wear them many, many times. Right, let's try another one. Which of the following textiles are made from plastic fibers? If it's cotton, if you think it's cotton, put 2 hands up. If you think it's nylon, put 1 hand up. If you think it's something called viscose, put your hand on your head. And we've got a new one this time. If you think it's silk, touch your nose. Don't worry if you don't know for sure, just have a guess. But a lot of you know, though. Lots and lots of guesses here. Haley, you're not allowed to guess because you know. Right. Lots of people saying nylon. Shall we see if we're right? Ta-da! Well done. Well done, everyone who said nylon. Cotton is made from the cotton plant. If you were with us on Tuesday, I think we saw a fuzzy cotton ball on the stem, which is very cool. And we got to see huge piles of cotton being harvested. Looks very soft. Viscose is made from wood pulp, but there's lots of different chemicals that need to be added to it to turn it into fibers. So being natural doesn't always mean something is environmentally friendly. And silk is made from the excretions of a silk moth caterpillar. Nylon is the one that's made from plastic. Well done, everyone. So, can you tell us one thing that you learned from yesterday? If you were with us yesterday and there's something that particularly stuck in your head, and you remember that, going to tell us what it is in the chat. For me, it was how heavy the big parcels of clothing were that the women had to carry on their heads and the damage that was doing to their necks and their backs. I thought 55 kilograms was a very difficult number to have to think about carrying around. That's a lot. It's like carrying 2 suitcases on your head. That's quite a lot of weight, and there must be a better way of doing these things. Someone has said there's no away. Yes, definitely. The away is actually someone's home. And the clothes that we throw out end up in places in Ghana, yes. Kathmandu, yes. And drinking the water with the microplastics in it, yes, that was quite shocking, wasn't it, to see under the filter with all the microplastic pieces in it. And another class has said that t-shirts, to make a t-shirt uses 30 bathtubs of water. That's quite a lot. Well, today we are going to learn more about what sustainable fashion could look like after spending most of this week learning about what unsustainable fashion could look like. And I'd like to welcome Hayley McDonald from ACS, Advanced Clothing Solutions, and she's going to talk to us today about how sustainable fashion is possible and is already being done. Welcome, Hayley.
Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here today with you all. And yeah, I'm going to take you through, some things that we can maybe think about doing to participate in the circular economy for fashion. So first off, I'd like to ask you a wee question. I'd like you to have a wee think about what could you do with your clothes when you no longer need them, and if you could pop that in the chat. And I wonder if Catriona could maybe let me know if any answers are coming in, because I'm not able to see those.
Of course, I can do that.
Thank you. Or maybe think about what do you already do with your clothes when you don't need
So
them
we have
anymore.
some answers already. There are
Okay,
pass on to someone else in your family,
that's
bring
great.
it to a charity shop, hand-me-downs. I wore a
Yep.
lot of hand-me-downs growing up.
Me too.
Make them into clothes for your dolls. That's a good one.
That's a good idea. I've not thought of that one before.
Donate to charity or a friend. Make it into something else. Someone else has said rag bags at school.
Everyone's coming up with pretty sustainable answers. I like that.
Ooh, make blankets. Make cushions.
Blankets, yeah.
Vinted. Someone's thinking. Hand them down to wee brothers and sisters.
Yep.
Sell it. Repair
Yep.
them.
I'm glad that no one's saying put it to landfill. I'm glad to hear that.
This is good. This is good. Although
Yes,
we need to be careful where rag bag goes, but yes.
Yep,
Use them to
I'll
practice
speak
sewing.
about that. Yep.
Yeah.
Those are all great suggestions. Thank you, guys. Cool. Well, I'll just take you through some of the things I want to talk about. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is who are ACS Clothing? What do we do? So we work in the fashion industry and we recognise how damaging our industry is to the planet. You might have heard already this week about how fast fashion can affect our environment, but also the people working and making our clothes. Fashion makes up around 10% of global carbon emissions, but it also uses lots of water, pollutes waterways when we're dyeing our clothes, but it also, a lot of our clothes are made from fabrics such as polyester, which releases a lot of little bits of plastic into our water too, which I've learnt about this week already. Our industry also forces people to work very long hours for poor pay and in bad conditions. So what are we trying to do a little bit differently? ACS, which stands for Advanced Clothing Solutions, are Europe's largest circular fashion hub. What is circular fashion? Well, I'll explain that in a few slides' time. On this slide, you can see a picture of our really big warehouse based in Motherwell in North Lanarkshire. And we specialise in 3 points: rental, resale and repair. We started business in 1997 doing formal men's rental for weddings of things like suits and kilts. And renting clothes is paying a smaller amount of money to borrow something for a few days or a month instead of paying full price for that garment and it maybe not getting worn again. Rental is a great option for sustainable fashion because it means you get the excitement and feel good like your clothes are new, but without the guilt of buying something new. You get to have the new feeling, but are reassured those clothes will be loved by someone after you as well. A question I often get is, where do all of our clothes come from? So what we do is something called a business-to-business operation, which means that we do all the work in between for the brands that we work with. So you could go on to Slater's or Higher Street or Bundley's website, who are some of our partners, put the order through on their site, and then their website is linked to our warehouse. We are then alerted to send the garment out to the customer. It comes back to us, we clean it, we store it, and we send it back out to the customer. So some of the fashion brands don't ever touch any of their clothes. In the next slide, I'm going to show you a short video of our warehouse. And the clothes flying around remind me of a Disney Pixar film. Can you think what that might be and put it in the chat? Has anyone said anything in the chat, Katriona?
It's a couple answers that say Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
that the one
that's
you're
the one
thinking
I'm
of?
always thinking of. Yeah,
Very good.
all the clothes
Yeah,
flying around like the doors.
I can see that.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about the rental model. So imagine a world where clothes don't get thrown away quickly, causing a lot of waste. So I want to tell you about this, about rental, which is what we focus on mostly. Usually when we buy clothes, we wear them a few times and then they get thrown away. And this creates a lot of garbage in landfill. But with clothing rental, it's different. Instead of buying clothes, you can rent them and use them for a while. It's like borrowing clothes from a friend. How does this help the earth? Well, when we rent clothes instead of buying new ones, we use less water, about 24%, less energy, and produce less carbon emissions and pollution. Think about it this way. If 50 people rent the same dress instead of buying new ones, it's much better for the environment. In 2021, a rental brand called Buy Rotation saved as much energy as taking 150 cars off the road just in 1 year. And they also kept 2,400 dresses from becoming waste, which is a lot of saved water, 66 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth to be exact. And we might have started doing rental for men's formal clothing with suits and kilts, but since then we've started renting out ladies' clothing, subscription baby wear. So you would, the parents would pay a fee to rent 0 to 3 months, then 3 to 6 months. Then as they grow, they would send them back and get the next size. Even subscription ski wear and even tents as well. We rent out tents too. Next, I'll talk about the resale or the second hand. So resale is a special way to buy clothes that helps the earth a lot. It means instead of getting brand new clothes, you can find cool ones that someone else owned before. So that's something else that we do at ACS. This way of getting clothes is becoming really popular and it's growing 3 times faster than the rest of the industry. That means lots of people are choosing to buy clothes this way because it's good for the planet, which is a good thing. Why is it so important? Well, when we buy second-hand clothes, we don't need to use new materials and we don't use chemicals that can be bad for the environment. This helps stop pollution and reduces the amount of stuff that we throw away. Remember the excitement of discovering hidden treasures in charity shop stores? Well, a lot of you might still do that, but now we can do that on the internet. Someone else has already mentioned Vinted, but at ACS we work with eBay and we can find lots of amazing second-hand clothes on there. In 2021, just on eBay, people saved a massive amount of pollution, 17,771 tonnes, and that's like preventing 1,404 double-decker buses full of clothes from going to the landfill. How cool is that? So yeah, I'll go on to the next slide. And then the other thing that we focus on at ACS is doing repairs. So we do this for other fashion brands, whether that is of clothes that might have been returned from online shopping or from the rental clothes that people have danced in a little bit too much and they've burst the seams. Fixing clothes is like giving them a superhero power. It helps the earth. When we repair our clothes, instead of throwing them away, we stop making so much mess. It's like magic that keeps the planet happy. Repairs have the potential to extend the life of our clothes, and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation estimates that this could increase a garment's use by 75% and reduce the pollution by 30%. It's also good because we can, reduce the amount of waste. We can use less resources, so we can use less of the environment's precious resources. We can increase the, we can reduce the amount of pollution, and we can also add memories to the clothes. So how many clothes do we have that we have a really special memory of when we wore that? So we can create a wee story for our clothes as well. So what else are we doing at ACS that's a little bit different? So we do something called paying the real living wage. And that means that we provide a wage to our staff that is considered a dignified amount for them to live on, and they're able to feed their family and pay their bills. This is something that is not often met in the fashion industry, and our staff are also part of the Real Living Hours scheme, which means that they all have the guaranteed amount of hours every week, which means they get the same wage every week, so they have a sense of stability. We also hire people from disadvantaged backgrounds. So before Brexit, we had a lot of staff from the Polish community. When Brexit happened, a lot of them moved home, which meant that we had to look at other ways to attract staff to come and work with us. So we thought, how good would it be if we could give back to the local community and hire people that might find it, a little bit difficult to get into the job market. So around 16% of our workforce are from the disabled background, and about 10 are from the refugee community. We also have a certification or sticker called the Disability Confident Leader, which means that we put things in place to support people with disabilities that work for us. We also offer modern apprentice qualifications, so people can learn and get a qualification and earn a full wage whilst they work. And these are either in textile care or in warehousing, which are the two types of jobs that we have at ACS. And then we also have a lot of links to education. So we work with a lot of schools, a lot of universities to teach people about sustainability and different ways of doing fashion. So as you saw on Monday's lesson, here is a diagram about the circular economy and what that means. At ACS, naturally, through our rental business model, we are part of the circular economy. In a linear world where clothes are made, worn a bit and then thrown away, we've got the recycling world where old clothes can magically become something new, and that's what we're doing, in our resale sector. And then in a circular world, we share clothes with others, like passing them on to friends, so they get more chances to be useful and to be loved. So we've heard a little bit about what businesses like ACS are doing to make the fashion industry better, but what can we do ourselves as individuals to make better clothing choices? So number one, we can buy smartly. So we can choose clothes that are really good and last a long time so that you don't have to buy new ones all the time. We can check for secondhand. So we can look for cool clothes in charity shops or online that other people have loved before. It's like a treasure hunt. Apparel Exchange in Glasgow is a great one to do this in. We can clean and upkeep our clothes, so we can clean them up nicely. So when you don't wear some clothes anymore, share them to others by giving them away or selling them. Don't throw them away because that's not great for the environment. And as you might remember from your lesson earlier in the week, even when we donate clothes to charity shops, sometimes they can end up in landfill and pollute other countries. So you can try your best to avoid doing that and try and keep your clothes as long as you can. You could try hosting swap shops with your friends or your classmates as well, for example. And then we can fix and change our clothes. We can repair and change them. So if your clothes have small holes, you can fix them or make them different to fit you a bit better. It's like giving them a wee makeover. And for altering or making them fit better, you can go to a tailor who can do this for you, or you can learn how to do these things yourselves. When repairing, you can try to amend them in a way that is invisible, or you can add details to the garment which are visible and add character. And I've included some pictures here from a brand called Regine Denim, who are using a special Japanese type of mending called sashiko, which aims to add creativity to clothes through embroidery. And you can learn how to do these types of things at workshops in your local community. You can also choose your fabrics wisely. So we spoke about natural and plastic fibres at the start of the lesson. But natural fabrics are made from things like organic cotton, hemp and wool. And they're good for the earth because they can disappear or biodegrade and not stay in the ground forever. Sadly, a lot of the clothes we wear now are made from plastic fibres, which is made from oil. And when you wash these, it releases lots of bits of plastic into the water in the oceans. And I've included this picture here, which shows after burying natural fibres in the ground for a year, you can see they're starting to break down and biodegrade. So you can see your different natural fibres. We've got our cotton, we've got our linen and our hemp and our silk, and our bamboo, viscose, we've got our leather and our wool. So that's quite cool to have a wee look at. And then in comparison, here is the synthetic fibres after a year. So you can see these ones have virtually not broken down at all. We've got our polyester, our acrylic, our nylon, and our elastane. And I thought it would maybe be quite cool for you to do this as an experiment in school and see how you get on. Maybe plant it for a year and you can see the degradation yourself. So it's quite some shocking images there, I think. So we can also, think about the care and the washing of our clothes. So read the labels, look at the tags on your clothes and do what they say. It helps your clothes stay happy for a long time. And then we can wash them with care. So you can use things like a guppy washing bag in order to capture the microfibers. You can also wash your clothes at a lower temperature, such as 30 degrees, because the cooler your wash is, the less energy it requires to operate. You can choose good brands. So look for brands that are good friends to the earth, that treat the people who make our clothes nicely, that use good natural fibres and materials, and they tell us where everything comes from. Supporting small businesses in Scotland as well, that's a great thing to participate in. And then checking for stickers or labels. So as you might remember from Tuesday, some brands have special stickers called certifications, like Fairtrade, GOTS or B Corp. And these stickers mean that the brands are working hard to be kind to the planet and the people. You might have seen these stickers on things like bananas or chocolates before, but you can also find them on clothes. You can be a fashion artist and be a creator, so use your imagination to make old clothes cool again. It's like being an artist. You can turn old stuff into something new and awesome. Check out classes or workshops at your local community centres in embroidery, screen printing, and maybe you can put in the chat if anybody has done anything to improve their clothes before. You could tell me about that and we'll check it at the end. And then we need to think about reducing our fast fashion impact. So stop and think before you buy something. Take a wee moment. Think if you really need it or if it's just a trendy thing that you want and it might not be cool later, which means that it might end up in landfill. And then I like to follow this as well. So the 30 wear rule. So imagine this thing you're about to buy and whether you wear it 30 times. If you can wear it 30 times and you know you will, then it's a good thing to buy. It's like making friends with your clothes. The picture on this slide has someone taking part in the 30 wear challenge and photographs them wearing this dress for 30 times, which is pretty cool, I think. So we can learn about fashion as well, become a fashion detective. So learn about how good clothes can be or not so good for the earth. There are lots of cool and knowledgeable people online like Fashion Revolution and Aja Barber who can teach you. Unfollow any social media accounts that might make you want to buy lots of clothes too quickly. And I've sent out a resource list for your teachers to share with you, which has lots of learning resources so you can continue learning about sustainable fashion after this week is over. And you can find lots of influencers on that list too. And then helping our clothes find another life. So give your clothes a new home. When you have clothes that you don't wear anymore, give them to others, but make sure they're clean and still good to wear. If your clothes are too old, some places can turn them into something new. Take part in swap shops and try to use your clothes as much as you can before they need a new life. Avoid using clothing recycling bins, as a lot of these clothes can end up in landfill as well. And I know that a lot of you might have these bins at your school to raise money, but as a lot of you might have learned yesterday, it might not be the best solution, as they can end up being a problem for other countries and a waste that they have to deal with. And then lastly, be a fashion hero. Use your super voice. So you can go on your phone or your computer And you can share good ideas about clothes with others on the internet. You can ask big brands to be kind to the earth and the people who make the clothes in emails and posts, or you can write letters to them, and you can write letters to your local politicians as well. And then organisations like Fashion Revolution, who I mentioned before, provide lots of help for you if you want to write letters to these people. So, Catriona, I want to see if anyone's let me know of any kind of upcycling or DIY that's done with their clothes, if anyone's put that in the chat before I ask them this question.
Not in the chat so far. No, I think they're still
Okay,
thinking, but I would say I
that's
have
cool.
put this button back on. So
Oh, you sewed that back on yourself?
had to put it back on because it fell off. And then also on the other side, I have fixed a little hole that was up here. Like I said, I do love my clothes and I do wear them a lot. So they take quite a beating. So I have
And the
repaired
thing
this
is,
jumper twice.
once you repair them as well, you become more attached to them as well, I think, as well, which is,
It's so
that's what it's
soft.
all about.
Yeah.
It looks very soft, looks very
It's very
comfortable.
soft. I was just trying to think if I've worn it more than 30 times. I'm not sure. But the skirt I'm wearing today, I definitely have worn more than 30 times because it's one of my favorites. So there
I
you
know
go.
I've got some clothes in my wardrobe I've had for like 10, 15 years that I still wear, which is,
It's a bit painful to
Yeah.
think how old some of
Yeah,
the
no, I'm
clothes in
not
my
old.
wardrobe are. They're probably older than most of our audience here today.
Yes, I would say so. Yep, definitely.
We do have a couple of messages in the chat of things that people say that they've learned today. Would you like those now too?
Okay, I would love those. I would love to hear those.
So we have two messages so far. One of them says, don't use a rag bag because it can go to landfill.
Yep.
Someone else has said, I will tell people about ACS, which is good.
Thank you.
Wash your clothes at a lower temperature. Turn jeans into shorts by cutting the legs. Clever.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yes. All done that growing up.
Yeah, I think so. The raw hem.
Yeah, and there's a few people liking the one that says wash clothes at a lower temperature, so that's good.
Yep.
Remodel clothes, use natural fabrics. I think they're having a good think about what you've just said to them. This is good.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
Someone says turn tights into a top. They've turned tights into a top.
I
I would love to see
have
how
seen
that
people
works.
do that before. Yeah, I have seen people do that before. It's very cool.
That's
They're
neat.
coming up with things I've not even said as well. That's great.
Yeah. Look for labels that tell us they're
Be very
sustainable.
creative.
Buy good quality clothes. And someone else has said clothing bins are not always a good idea. Oh, pass on clothes you get too big for.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, it sounds like you've all learned lots today, and thank you so much for your attention. And yeah, it was lovely to meet you all. Thank you very much.
No, that was amazing. Thank you for that. Enjoyed hearing so much about what ACS does, and the renting of baby clothes. Where was that a while ago? That is such a smart
I
idea
know.
because babies grow so fast. They grow so quickly. It's such a smart, sustainable idea to have a subscription. That's a really good idea.
It makes total sense, doesn't it? It makes total sense. Yeah.
That's really clever. And I liked the idea of making new things. I just my daughter asked if I would show everyone the little pin cushion that she's made of a piece of an old jumper, and she put my name on it because she saw my effort before putting my name on a piece. So that's what she's done.
That's
so you
so
can
sweet.
make little things like this. It doesn't have to be clothes. It can be something useful because now I have somewhere to put my sewing needles, which is very handy. But yes, thank you so much for that, Hayley. I really enjoyed your presentation. And I think our audience did too.
Lovely to meet you all.
Yeah, don't forget though that we'd like you to have a look at the resource folder for everything that Hayley had said that she has put in there for you to learn about afterwards, but also to learn some basic stitching techniques so you can repair your own clothes and maybe can have a go at sewing on a button that wants to go its own way. Or maybe a hole in your favorite jumper, or fixing a pair of jeans. If you do these activities, we would love to see them. Please show us your efforts because we always love to hear from you. The other thing we'd like you to do is to use your voice, just like Hayley said. You can write letters, you can write emails to businesses and corporations to ask them to change their practices, but you can also become a young reporter and make a video about what you have learned. we have a video you can watch for inspiration called Fast Fashion Dining, and it was made by a group of young people a couple of years ago and won in their category for young reporters. So this is another way that you can get the attention of change makers and industry and your community by letting them know exactly what you think about fast fashion and what should change. So if you'd like to ask any questions about the work of ACS or what Hayley has been talking about today, please feel free to email us at ecoschools@keepscotlandbeautiful.org. We have our assembly tomorrow, so we will send your questions to Hayley and we'll see if we can get you an answer for tomorrow. Or if you have any questions about anything at all we've discussed this week, some of our topics have been a bit, require a bit of thinking about. So if you have any questions or you want to know more, please feel free to email us. We'd be happy to discuss more on Friday. And also, you can find us on most social media platforms at KSB Scotland. And I'm sure ACS is on social media too. You can find them there and find out more about their work. But please, if you have been taking part in this week's lessons and you'd like to even just say hello, just reach out on social media. We always love hearing from you and sending in your photos to show tomorrow. And hopefully you can all join us tomorrow. I'd love to see you there, but that's all we have for today. So bye for now.
Thanks, guys.